Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? Welcome back to another video. Today I want to talk to you guys about the top 6 rogue decks I think you should try out for this November 2020 format. This is kind of like the post Draft Box 6 era, and Draft Box 6 didn't really create a new format, and I know that's not quite what we're used to. Usually when we get a Draft Box or even some other side sets, it actually kind of creates a brand new format. We had things like Obuni in Draft Box 5. We had certain things in Draft Box 4 that basically introduced a new meta, or at least shook the meta up a lot, right? Draft Box 6 doesn't really seem to be doing that. What I think Draft Box 6 does well is actually just add on to the currently existing set 11 meta, and we get some cool new rogue stuff out of it. So stuff we'll talk about today, guys. We'll have some budget options for you guys, and I think we'll also have some like hidden meta decks that people just aren't playing, and I really don't know why, because the decks that I'm about to show you guys, a lot of them seem actually really strong. So this is not going to include the expansion sets 14 and 15, because this did get pushed back a week, and it's pretty much November 27th, so that's more so like December stuff. Only a few days left in November. I'll talk about that stuff next month. But anyways, guys, if you are new here, definitely subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss a video. If you want to help the channel out, there are lots of ways down in the description to do so. Particularly today, if you want to buy any cards you see in today's video, use my link to TCG Player. It really does help out a lot, guys. That being said, let's get started talking about Skillless Goku. So Skillless Goku is such an interesting one. This is one that I think is both budget and like hidden meta. Let me explain why. So this deck came out in set 6, did a ton of things in set 6 meta, even in the face of like Super Shenron and decks like that were just absurdly powerful. This deck always had a few things going for it. One, tons and tons of card draw, thanks to like Adventure Begins Goku constantly searching you Dragon Balls every single turn, and the leader just turbo drawing on both sides. And then it also had great board presence, just spamming out 30k battle cards basically at the drop of a dime. And then it had really good removal in the form of Android 8. When you would combo away a Kid Goku, you get to pop a battle card any cost during either player's turn. So that was really good there. Then look at set 10 format, Anniversary Box 2020. This deck got basically some new life breathed into it, got some legacy support. So like Saiyan Scions, for instance, Bonds of Battle, Android 8, basically allowing this deck to spam 10k skillless battle cards, which again complemented the ability of Android 8 to pop your opponent's battle cards. You had different ways to boost those 10k battle cards, making them relevant 15k attackers. So like back then in set 6, you had like some blue black skillless to do really well. You had some yellow black skillless to do really well, some yellow blue mixture, and then you had in set 10 red black skillless doing quite well, because again of like Saiyan Scions and Bonds of Battle, Android 8 and things like that. So this deck topped enough last format that I think it was definitely viable to be called a meta deck. Like there were some tournaments it would miss for sure, but it topped so much that I think this was definitely one of the lower tier meta decks. And I'm introducing it today as a rogue deck because I hadn't really done anything yet in set 11, but I think with Draft Box 6 there's a lot of room for skillless to grow, and that just leads me to say that I think the way they've done Draft Box 6 is very good. I don't think we wanted to see an entire meta shift like we saw in Draft Box 4 and Draft Box 5. Anniversary Box 2020 bolstered skillless in a way that it didn't shift the entire meta, but it just added some new key elements to the meta. And if Bandai continues to do that with side sets like anniversary boxes, like draft boxes, if they continue to design these side sets in these ways that don't like completely change the meta, I think they'll see a really good kind of formula for success. But anyways, moving on from that, the new skillless stuff. Now, this stuff is really cool because it allows skillless to spam bigger skillless battle cards, not so much just the 10k spam, because 10k spam was good last format, but now we see things like Obuni and other 15k spam decks like AOD not do so well, because 15k spam just isn't quite what it was. So let's take a quick look at these two cards and see how they help skillless spam bigger battle cards. So Chilled, greatest pirate in the cosmos, 3-drop 19k blue with unique, auto once per turn, pay a blue energy. If this card's attack deals damage to an opponent or removes a marker from opponent's unison card, play up to 1 blue skillless battle card with energy cost of 3 or less from your deck or drop area, then shuffle if you look through your deck. So that helps you spam 30ks there for 1 energy, and then activate main. If you have 3 or more energy and choose a skillless battle card in your hand and discard it, play this card from your hand. So you can play this thing for 0 energy, do a damage with it, or remove a unison marker with it, and then you get to play a 30k battle card. That actually synergizes so well with skillless Goku, because on the unawakened side, you awaken at 6 or less life when you have a skillless battle card in the drop area, and sometimes you need that attack to get off in order to awaken. But if you're not able to get that attack off, Chill just does it pretty much at activate main speed, so you don't have to be in a battle step, which is great. And then Great Saiyaman 2, Budding Hero, 3-drop 15k auto. When this card's played from your hand, choose up to 1 skillless battle card with energy cost 2 or less from your deck or drop area, play it, and then shuffle. So another way to spam there and activate main, pay a green, choose one of your skillless battle cards with energy cost of 2 or less, and return it to the owner's hand. Play this card from your hand, and you can't play copies of this card for the turn. So basically, swing with skillless, bounce it back, play this skillless, or sorry, play this Great Saiyaman, and then play a skillless from your deck. So now we have other skillless spam options in different colors. So you're back to that kind of creativity with skillless. That was the great thing about it in set 6, was that skillless offers so much creativity at the deck building level. Like, I did really well with blue, yellow, black skillless. A lot of players did well with blue, black skillless, and a lot of other players did good with yellow, black skillless. So I'm just saying that to say that now that kind of re-innovative deck building is back for skillless, which I think is amazing. These cards are very, very good, so definitely try it out. And this is definitely more so a budget deck too that I think can do really well in the meta. So wanted to suggest it to you guys, let you guys know my thoughts on that. Next up, we have Red Burn. Now, this is kind of like a pretty good shell to probably start with Red Burn. I really think that Yamcha is probably the best leader you can play with it. And I only say that because he basically allows you to filter through your deck really, really fast, find cards you need, basically looking at the top 2, adding any red card. So you're basically looking at 2 cards per turn and picking the best one for your scenario and adding it to your hand. Not only that, he also synergizes quite well with burn damage, because his auto on the awakened side says if you have a unison in play, if you deal a burn damage, deal an additional burn damage once per game. So it synergizes well with that kind of win condition. But I think there are other leaders you can play with this. I think Bulma's an interesting one as well. Bulma might be the best generic red leader now that I think about it, because that's the leader that's put up the most results in a given meta, looking at back like set 10 meta, and even looking back now at set 11. It's done some things with the Gogeta engine, although now I don't think you have to play that strict Gogeta engine. You have a little bit more flexibility in deck building, and that's what I think Draftbox 6 did well too. They gave Red a lot of generic deck building options, like King Piccolo 5 seconds to eradication. This card is I won't say it's like as good as Obuni, even though Obuni is actually not that great in the current meta, but it's an Obuni level card in the sense that it has deflect and barrier, and it has a relevant tag in double strike. So with those being the cases, Red now has a 4-drop battle card that it can play and not be afraid of, just like Green has all its deflect battle cards like Grim Reaper and whatnot, and Blue has things like Obuni, Murray-Chum, just 4 drops they can play that don't automatically die to certain things. And then you have like the rest of the ability where your opponent can't block, that's relevant in regards to like Sen Shenron and different matchups like that. And then you have the auto, if your opponent negates the attack, you can take a life and deal a burn damage to them. That's really good. Then you have the new Unison Roshi Potential Unleashed, where you can play it, burn them if their life's above 5 or less. I wouldn't recommend playing this with Burn Gohan. I know with all this stuff, people are really excited about Burn Gohan, but when all your main deck stuff burns as much as this stuff does, I just don't think you need to play that leader. It doesn't offer you too much. It continues to burn, yeah, sure, but it doesn't give you enough card draw. It doesn't give you a great awaken ability. I think you want to play a leader like Bulma or Yamcha that gives you something extra, and then use your main deck to burn the opponent. It might be an unpopular opinion, but let me know what you think in the comments, I guess, about that. Anyways, moving on, Lemon Lime Frieza, another cool budget option. This is a hand control, resource intensive deck. You're going to draw a ton of cards. You're going to rip a lot of cards from your opponent's hand, and you don't have to play cards like Dorm Potential Unleashed. You don't have to play cards like Rebrand Punishing Passion. You just get to play good green and yellow cards. Now, the thing with this leader is it's kind of like Soul Striker in a sense, and Soul Striker is doing very, very well in the meta right now. This one is just a little bit more reliant on seeing certain cards, namely those Frieza Army 1-drops, but there are so many in the game now that it's almost impossible to miss a Frieza Army turn 1. So once you get that going, once you get awakened, you're going to be drawing and untapping so much energy. It's going to feel, quite frankly, unfair. Couple that with the fact that you can play Cold Bloodlust, one of the most broken cards in the game. This card is at 1 on the Dragon Ball Super ban list for a reason. Just stopping certain boss monsters like certain SCRs like Fu, Shrouded, and Mystery. It's just really, really strong. This might be another sleeper meta pick that for some reason people just aren't playing. I think it's really powerful. And of course you have like a card like Cell Xeno at the top end as your win con. You kind of just can't go wrong, right? Next up, we have Hirudegarn. This is one I'll recommend, not because it's like particularly amazing, not that I think it'll like dominate the meta or anything. I do have a deck profile for this if you want to check it out from a few days ago, but the reason I'm going to recommend you guys pick this stuff up and try it out as a rogue deck now is because I'm almost certain we're going to get a green Hirudegarn leader, maybe in set 12, maybe in a future set, but I think it's going to happen. Like, look at the Gotenks stuff we got in Anniversary Box 2020, and the only leader you could play it with was absolutely trash until we saw set 11 spoilers and we got a, new green Gotenks leader. So they might just follow suit. They might be giving us this stuff in Draft Box 6 and then giving us a brand new Hirudegarn leader in set 12. That could very well be the case. So with that in mind, I would definitely recommend picking this stuff up now, playing around with it, and if you really are interested, I honestly would bet we're getting a new Hirudegarn leader, so you might want to try it out and pick this stuff up for that reason. Next up, guys, we have Clash Goku. So this was my deck of choice in set 10 format. I didn't really like Dredge Goku. I liked Clash Goku because you're gonna draw a lot of the cards that you want to see in your drop area, like Rebrand, for example, like Roshi Kamehameha Origins, things like that you want in your drop area. So with Dredge Goku, you have to combo it to get it there, right? And that feels kind of bad. But with Clash Goku, you could swing, pitch Rebrand, draw 2 cards, mill 2, so you could possibly get better mills in the drop there. So I think that this is a green deck that doesn't necessarily rely on a chain like Majin Vegeta or Green Gotenks, and it's another sleeper meta deck that I think can do very, very well right now. On top of that, we got some deflect stuff that's kind of like generic to green, looking at things like Prince of Destruction, Vegeta, Prideful Warrior, helps you just, you know, absolutely decimate unisons with deflect protection and triple strike. Your opponent pretty much has to negate it or they're going to be in a lot of trouble. So this is definitely not going to be one of the more budget options. I mean, of course, we're looking at Rebrand here. A lot of stuff in green like Dormant Potential Unleashed is actually very, very expensive. So definitely not a budget option here, but probably a sleeper meta pick that if you just don't want to play green with a chain, like I said, Majin Vegeta or Gotenks, this is an option you have that I think is actually really, really strong. And then next up, guys, we have Jiren. Jiren is back in set 11. It did top last week or the week before. It got top 8 at PPG Arizona. And I think it's just such a cool thing to see. For one, the leader, in my opinion, it has an effect that really stacks up well to current leaders. What I think is going on right now is a lot of people talk about power creep, but I think the power creep is more so in the sense of leaders more so than battle cards, if that makes sense. You know, we have leaders like Blue Vegeta, we have leaders like Blue Zamasu, just these leaders that make their colors better because the leaders are better. But if we have to take a set 9 leader and compare it to a set 10-11 leader, I think Jiren has an apt comparability to those leaders because of his ability to basically prevent damage for an entire turn. Couple that with Jiren Universe's Strongest. Now that monocolor is a lot better to play than it was when Jiren came out, this card's much more playable. Get to 6, you play this deflect savage of a card. It's pretty easy to get 9 Universal 11s in the drop area. This guy cannot be negated, he can't be blocked, he goes in for quad strike, you can play Cell Xeno right over him. It's kind of crazy. But you also have other deck building options as well with like the red U11 stuff that allows you to play other things from your deck like Pride, Collective, Coquette. You can basically play a red yellow version if you wanted to mess around with that. It offers a lot of playability, a lot of creativity, so I think it's really cool for that reason. But guys, those are the 6 decks I want to talk about today. Let me know in the comments below if you have any other suggestions for rogue decks in this meta. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.